It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Packer Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight, 17 days away from the opener archery season here in Michigan with Dan DeFall.
Absolutely. Nothing like waiting.
And waiting.
But you know what?
What?
It was an exciting week we had. You know, we were talking about it just before we went on with the record, live on Facebook, paying attention. Like we said, folks, you got to watch the live version if you're listening on the podcast, because you'll hear and see things not on the podcast. But
that is true.
We had an emergency situation this week with a bow, and it was just, we took care of it.
Don't involve me in this. I had nothing to do with this.
No, you had nothing to do with it, but we took care of it. We had a close relative
call?
of mine.
Just call him out.
All right, my brother blew up his bow, and I ran another bow that I had over to Derek. I said, "Hey, set him up." So luckily, the bow is not destroyed. It just needs a new string. So.
Okay, well that's good.
Right,
all is well.
All is well.
Good deal.
Anyways, how about we talk about our supporters?
Let's do this.
Because we got to get to our guests.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, folks, 17 days. You better get on over to buckbaits.com to get your 20% off. Use the UNJ20 code over there. Go check out their website, see what they got new this year. If you want 15% off, use UNJ15 off at easycutproducts.com. You can never go wrong using the Easy Cuts.
You know what? You can use the loppers to take care of the chest cavity on a deer, and you can also break them pelvic bones with it. We've done it before, and it works great.
It does. Packer Max, get over to Lincoln Roan. Give him a shout. Tell him UNJ25. You'll get $25 off your Packer Max to use this fall. The Island Armory. What better way to start off September than with a new gun?
Any day.
All right. So if you get over to the Island Armory, talk to Natalie, go over to the website, use UNJ10. You'll get 10% off your order over there. Goose season is going. Deer season's coming on. Go to jpogamecalls.com. Use the promo code UNJ10 for that. We've shared his post. He's been from Kentucky back to Michigan, back to Kentucky. Miller Deer Tracking. We had him on the show. He's going to give us 20% off his next tracking for you. You use the promo code UNJ20 when you get a hold of Miller Deer Tracking.
Did you see him tracking that deer down? Was that in Michigan or Kentucky?
I saw it. I don't know where it was, though.
I don't know if it was a youth hunt or if it was in Kentucky.
Right.
But it was live. That was cool.
Yeah, it was. And Zion down at southernIndianaBaitCo.com. Go over there, check out what they got for some baits. As long as you can get them through the ice, you can still use them.
That's right.
So if you use UNJ10, you get 10% off your order over there. And last but not least, proud supporter of Up North Journal, Deer Camp Coffee. We're drinking the Up North Journal blend tonight.
No, we're not, because it's in the coffee pot.
Oh, you're right.
We didn't go get it.
We were talking with our guests.
That's right.
DeerCampCoffee.com, UNJ10, get 10% off your order over there. And if you come over to me, where it is a balmy 55 degrees. That's right, folks. 55 in Newberry, Michigan.
It won't be here this week.
Right? Get over to Cedars, get a pizza, get some Deer Camp Coffee over there as well. Proud shout out to 123 FM up in the Eastern UP carrying the show.
There you go. Gotta like that.
Right, exactly.
Well, you ready? Let's just get into it. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight. Because we were talking about so much good stuff that we almost were late to the show.
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of funny when we get talking with our guests. But it's always good to have our guest on, none other than Randy Stoppenhaggen from C3 Mitts, Better the Hunt Technology. What is happening, Randy?
Just looking forward to spending a little time with you guys. If you need to, you can go get your cup of coffee. I can wait a second. So.
Well, we won't do that to our guests.
No, we don't leave our guests. We don't just run out on them.
I might step out in the break and bring Danny his coffee. He gets a little irritable if he doesn't have his Java.
But, you're out in Idaho. I know, watching you on Facebook, you were doing some elk hunting, and then you came back for a little bit. We got you on the show, and then you're going to head out again. But how's everything going over at C3 Mitts?
Things are going good. We started out the year with a new marketing firm, and we're about a week or two away from going live and having our product on Amazon. I'm looking forward to that. And then just gearing up social media-wise, when we're going to have the sales. But what I wanted to tell you was we got a smoking deal that's already started. No matter what weapon you hunt with, if it's a rifle, shotgun, crossbow, or a bow, we have a product called the multi-mitt. See if I can put it in front of my black t-shirt. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it, but it blends into your t-shirt. There you go.
Okay, there you go. So what the multi-mitt does is it protects your release hand or your trigger hand. The other mitts protect your forearm or your hand that's holding the bow. So we invented the multi-mitt to solve this hand, your trigger hand. So the multi-mitt, no matter which weapon mitt you buy, you're going to get a multi-mitt absolutely free.
That's a deal.
So that's a $40 savings. So you're getting both hands covered. So when you're out there, all you're doing is concentrating on the hunt instead of how bad your fingers hurt.
I think Danny...
And I got one in the studio here with me. As you see, we have the multi-mitt. Yeah, look at that, right? I'm not going to hold on. You can see it in front of my shirt. Or his. And this is ambidextrous. So if you're right or left-handed, whatever hand you need to get, that's what you use, right? And inside, what do you got in there?
Well, there's a hanging hand warmer pocket. For someone who has poor circulation or it's bitter cold, you can activate a hand warmer. Put it up inside there. It's not going to fall out. Even if you bring it up this way for some reason, it's going to stay in there, but it's going to activate and heat the inside of that mitt. It'll be 80, 90 degrees in sub-zero weather. I mean, and those mitts are all waterproof and windproof. So unless you go swimming, they're going to keep your hands toasty, warm, and dry.
Well, let's not practice and try that to make sure that somebody will come back and says, hey, I tried swimming with them and it didn't work out well.
I'd like my money back.
Yeah, right, exactly. You are known now as the bearded bad boy, just so you know.
Really?
Yeah. Mark Coleman says the bearded bad boy. So there you go.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. Thank you. I mean,
Did you run into him in Illinois here recently this year?
Yes.
I thought so. All right. Well,
so
give us the dirt on him when we get in the commercial break. Give us the lowdown on him. We really want some dirt on him, okay?
Right. And what's nice about this mitt, the universal mitt, is you can have a smaller type hand or a bigger type hand. It's pretty wide to get your hand in there, and you can basically, any size hand is going to fit in here nice.
Well, and with that elastic band, you can either, like if you're in a sitting position in a blind or up in a tree stand, you can clip that elastic band to your waist or your belt, or like what I do is I actually put it around my wrist, and then I can rotate my hand easily in and out of that real quick.
Gotcha.
Because people look at the whole line of mitts, and they think, ooh, it looks a little big. Well, if I made it smaller, your hand would feel constricted and it wouldn't be comfortable. And the natural heat from your hand is what fills up that airspace. And it's toasty warm under most conditions. The coldest they've ever been used in it is minus 48 in Greenland. And they worked really well.
Just putting my hand, when I was messing with it just a second ago, just putting my hand in here and messing around with it, it's like, you're right, your hand does start to fill up, or the heat from your hand fills up that airspace. And actually, my hand was getting warm just by being in this. It's amazing.
But one thing I want to say is, like, I'm out archery elk hunting with my bow mitt currently, and my mitt never leaves my bow. And people think, well, it's September. I mean, it was 87 degrees during the day. And in the early part of the season, you don't have a big, heavy coat on. So when I put my hand inside here, you can see, let me see if I can turn it the right way. You can see all the rooms. So the air is still circulating in and out of the mitt. But later in the season, when you wear a big, heavy coat, and you put it up against there, it seals off that area to retain the heat.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I'm just so used to shooting with my mitt on that if I actually take my mitt off my bow and shoot my bow, it is, I'm staring at my hand. I'm like, is that right? Is that how I'm supposed to be? Is that? But when the mitt's on there, that's one less thing I think about. I just put my hand in there.
It's a natural
fit. My palm goes right. Yeah, exactly. So.
It goes right where God give everybody a place to shoot a bow from, right there. Right on the riser.
Yep, exactly.
Mark Coleman says it's the oven mitt of the outdoors.
Okay. You know what?
It's like being in a nice little toaster oven, though. It really is.
Well, but we actually made a spoof video on that where one gentleman goes, "Hey, this looks just like my grandma's oven mitt," and I went, "You're absolutely right," and we sold her one. I mean.
Nice.
I mean, every one of my products, it's different. And people, if they just have an open mind and can experience what thousands of people that have used these see,
yeah.
I mean, it's a game changer.
Well,
but you got to have an open mind to it, and some people just
they can't get around it. But
right.
you know, like we've talked about before, like the universal mitt. And those are great for like being at a football game. You know, when it's snowing out or when it's cold out. High school game, college game, pro game.
Ice
fishing, snow. Right on the back of a snowmobile and you're hanging on to somebody.
Cold weather on a boat.
Yeah, there's just so many different things. Anything that's got cold weather involved, where your hands can get cold, it works.
You make this any more bigger and comfortable. The people down in Alabama might wear this to football game.
I need it in red. I need it in crimson.
Oh, that's crimson? Right.
Roll Tide.
Oh.
So, talking about the universal mitt, let's go to the other mitt you have. Oh, what colors do these come in?
Well, the crossbow mitt, the shotgun mitt, the rifle mitt, and the multi-mitt come in two colors. They come in, let me get it over here where you can see it. It comes in tactical black, and it comes in earth brown.
Okay.
For those mitts. But the bow mitt is in camo, and it comes in three different offerings. It comes in mossy oak tree stand, mossy oak breakup country, and also treason camo.
Okay.
But eventually, when the camo mitts are gone, we're going to go to solid colors, even with the bow mitt. And the reason why is, people come up to the booth and they go, "Well, don't you make it in Sitka? I need Sitka or I won't buy it." Well,
right.
I can't make 50 different varieties. So we're going with solid colors because if you have a black bow, the black will look good on it.
Yep.
If you have a camo bow, the brown will look good on it.
Yep.
So, and then we're hoping by next spring when I put my order in, we're going to come out with a third color, which is a Loden green, but we're going to call it leaf shadow green. And it's a really pretty color. So we'll have brown, black, and green. So
there you go.
I think if you go with the I know some of these people need to be all matching in that, but if it's black or gray or a green, really, I'd rather have my hand nice and warm.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. And I don't think that. And I don't think the deer is going to necessarily care. But.
No, I don't think so.
We don't have bougie deer in Michigan. I know that. That's right. But
throw that website up again one more time here.
So as we're talking about this, the website is c3mitts.com. Just watch the banner. It's the first one. Buy any mitt and get a multi-mitt free. So that's a great deal, folks. And as we leave that, we're going to head over. I think next we should talk about the bow mitt, Randy.
Okay. So this is what started it all. I can actually put this in front of me and you can see it. I can't believe I wore a black T-shirt next to a black bear. I mean, what was I thinking? I don't know. Anyway, so the bow mitt started it all. And being a bow hunter myself, I'm hunting in the early season, but then I also go later in the season, actually in December. And normally when I'm bow hunting up there, it can be everywhere from 14 degrees to minus 14. And I just got tired of, because I personally, the first couple hours in the morning, the last couple hours at night, I want to hold my bow in my lap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to be ready for when the moment comes. That's the reason I'm out there. I don't want to be grabbing up for my bow and worry about getting busted. So, but I got tired of trying to figure out how to hang on to a minus 14 degree metal instrument.
Right.
Without going, trying to keep my hand warm. So
right.
I came back, created this mitt, and it's super simple. You just unbuckle it, open it up, and inside is this finger pocket. that finger pocket serves two purposes. One, you can activate a hand warmer, slide it in there, and it won't fall out, but it'll radiate the heat if you need extra warmth. The mitt by itself, with the 200 grams of thin slit, will keep your hand warm to about 28 degrees with normal circulation. After that, you activate a hand warmer, throw it in there, you're good to go. The interior fabric is a mesh that wicks away the moisture in case you have a sweaty palm. And it wicks away the moisture so it's not clammy inside and it breathes. What you do, this right here is a grommet, and you can either use this grommet or you can bypass it. But this grommet is intended for if you want to put your mitt on your bow and keep it on all the rest of the season, you can take your stabilizer off, run your stabilizer through this grommet, attach it to your bow, and then you take and you actually grab your bow and you hold it and you bring everything around. You bring all the rest of this mitt around the front. Okay. And there's 3 straps. There's one that goes towards the backhand, and then there's 2 that come from the backhand forward. This strap, the very first one at the very top, we call the safety strap. When you put this on your bow, all you want to do is snug it. You don't want to reef it tight, because that way when you slide your hand into the mitt will go right where your hand needs to be positioned. You're not fighting the mitt to get it to where you want to put your hand. So all you do is snug this strap, and that keeps it below the arrow shelf. Then the other 2 straps are because we all have a different hand size, and we all palm our bow differently. Open, side finger, open finger. I've seen it all. So we wanted to make the mitt adjustable, so you just buckle the 2 lower buckles, and then that's where the adjustment comes in depending on your shooting style. I am just a relaxed fingered shooter. I just relax my hands on the front of the bow. So this mitt is set up perfect for me. My hand's relaxed. It's not constricted in any way. And I can sit there, and when the moment comes, I'm shooting with the same palm against the back of the bow, because inside, you'll see your riser go right up through the inside of this mitt. But if you're an open finger or side finger shooter or a high risk shooter, you back those 2 straps off and you push on the mitt, which expands the mitt and opens it up. Then you just take the slack back out. Now it's a mitt for an open finger or side finger shooter. And that's it. I mean, it's been tried and true. A lot of deer have hit the deck. Elk have hit the deck. Bears have hit the deck. It's a great addition. And here's the thing, like one person told me, I don't have it on my bow all the time, but it's part of my arsenal. It's in my pack. And all of a sudden, if a cold front comes in, it takes 10 seconds. I can put it on my bow and I'm back in the game.
Absolutely. That's a true statement. It's one of those things. It's, like you said, cool mornings, midday, gets a little bit warmer. Maybe you don't want, but, like you said, it takes 10, 15 seconds, you can have it back on when it starts to get that cool evening coming back at you, and it's one more arsenal to keep you warm, to keep you out in the woods for that whatever you're hunting.
Yeah, it does not interfere with the bow whatsoever. I shot last year, my first deer with that on last year, and once I got in the zone and ready to draw back, I didn't even think about the mitt. It never entered my mind. And after I shot with dead heart shot. And I went, oh yeah, I had the mitt on, it's one of those features that you need on your bow to keep your hands warm. Like you said, it's comfort, keeps you in the game longer, but it doesn't interfere with anything. It's awesome.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. That's why we brought it to market, because it solves problems.
Absolutely. And like Mark said, he's teaching his wife to shoot a bow, shoot a crossbow. And one of the bigger things, and this is even with me, anybody that goes out there is going to, their first thing to go is their hands. Mm-hmm. So by keeping her hands warm or his hands warm, they'll be able to be out there longer and enjoy it.
Well, and speaking of the crossbow mitt, one thing I really want to drill home with people.
Well, I tell you what, Randy.
Crossbow mitt.
How about we go to a break? Yeah. We'll come back and we'll talk about the rest of what you got in the pack.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we're going to step outside. We're going to take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you? Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, we are back for the second segment. We are fueled up, ready to go. We got our high-octane coffee here,
and
courtesy
folks,
of Deer Camp.
Right, and folks, anybody out there, what we're talking about tonight, whether it be the bow mitt, the crossbow mitt, the rifle mitt, the shotgun mitt, the utility mitt, make sure you go over to c3mitts.com. They're running a great special. Check it out. You buy and you get a free utility mitt. You just look at the front there, and you get a free multi-mitt. So as we're going into break, Randy, we are continuing down the line here. You were going to talk about the crossbow mitt.
Well, the crossbow mitt, I mean, we made it because someone asked for it. By going out and doing all these shows, I mean, the rifle mitt was conceived because rifle hunters asked for it. The shotgun mitt, same thing. The crossbow mitt, same thing. But what we found out with the crossbow mitt is it is a huge safety benefit. Yeah, if you're teaching your wife, or even a guy my age that, hey, I can't draw my bow back anymore, I'm going to pick up a crossbow. Mm-hmm. Well, the issue with a crossbow, now granted, they're making the finger guards even wider today. Mm-hmm. But there's how many crossbows out there that have the smaller, narrow finger guards. Mm-hmm. And what can happen is, and we've seen it, if you Google crossbow accidents, and it's horrifying, but you're looking through that scope and you get finger creep. You're here, but then all of a sudden oh, yeah, there he is. And you get that thumb up there and takes it right off. Well, when this crossbow mitt attaches to the underneath of the finger guards through Velcro, it attaches and it's permanently there. When you put your hand in and you're holding your crossbow, there is physically no way you can get your fingers up in harm's way. So, like, I spoke with a gentleman who had his daughter with him, and he could concentrate on, okay, there's the deer, it's still moving, instead of looking over, then looking at the deer, then looking over, to make sure his daughter's fingers are out of the way. Because he now knows that physically there's no way her fingers can get in harm's way, and he can help her concentrate on taking the proper shot instead of where your fingers. So we're super proud of that one, and the sales really picked up last fall. And I know a lot of states have made crossbow hunting legal now, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, I know everybody's got their opinion on that, but we've got a product that'll make your hunt safer. So, look into the crossbow, look at the videos online, read the testimonials. It's another product that you can have in your bag. It's on and off in seconds, and it'll help you and keep you safe. So.
Yeah, I know a guy lost a thumb that way. Well, or the tip of it anyway.
Charles Byram, who is in Iowa, says he loves the mitt idea because he loses at least 2 or 3 gloves every season.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, you attach it. You attach it to your wrist. You attach the multi-mitt to the bow mitt will be to the bow. The crossbow will be to the crossbow, and so you don't lose it.
Yep. I mean, it's just, to me, it's a way to keep you in the game longer instead of packing it in, because everybody knows once your fingers get cold and your feet get cold,
you're done.
You're surviving. You're not hunting anymore. You're looking at your watch. How much longer do I have to sit here? So,
absolutely.
You might as well be comfortable when you're out there.
So now we've talked about the bow mitt, the crossbow mitt. Now you must got to have something for like the rifle hunter or the shotgun hunter out there.
Yeah. Okay. So let me grab that one. I've got them all right here in front of me. So this is the rifle mitt, and I'll pull it in here. It has a place to hold 3 cartridges, and then this is bundled up right now. I didn't cut it loose, but this is the 3rd anchor point sling. If you want, like if you're teaching somebody to shoot a rifle, you can put this sling around your bicep and then suck the glove down with your hand in it, and it anchors like a military sling. That it comes down to this point, anchors in, and then that way they're not going to scope themselves because the gun is sucked into their shoulder. The inside has a hanging hand warmer pocket, same mesh, waterproof, windproof. It'll fit any rifle. And you partner this up with the multi-mitt. You can sit there with your gun relaxed in your lap. That moment comes, it's literally you bring it up, rotate your hand out of the multi-mitt, take the shot, rack it if you need a second shot, and then put it right back.
And literally, it takes seconds to put this on your gun.
Yeah, you literally, if you have a sling, You take the front of the sling off, slide it down, it goes underneath the scope, and then you put the sling back on. It stays in position. I've rifle hunted a couple times late season up in Idaho during the rifle season, and I've sat out in an all-day rain just to prove to myself that they were waterproof. And the mitt was waterproof. I can't say so much for my hunting clothes, but
there you go.
But my hands were dry. So
there you go. All right. Once again, the web page. The deal that's going.
So along with that, you buy a rifle mitt. You get a multi-mitt free multi-mitt with a purchase. Simply choose the color of your choice when the pop-up banner appears. For adding to the mitt, he wants to know what color you want, folks. So go to c3mitts.com. Check it out. So far, whether you're going to do the bow mitt, the crossbow, the rifle, you're going to get a multi-mitt with this deal, which is a savings of
$40.
There you go. Saves you $40. So
gotta like that.
And real quick, just the last thing I'll say about it is, from day one, we've always done priority 3-day shipping, and it comes with a tracking number. As soon as I print the label, you get the tracking number and you can watch it come. And I've shipped stuff to New York and 3 days. So Michigan, 2 to 3 days. Midwest, like Iowa or somewhere in there, might take a couple days, but it's an added cost, but it gets to you quick. So
there you go.
Exactly.
And it comes with a tracking.
And
nice.
all the seasons are starting up across the United States. Some have already started, whether it be elk, deer, whatever going. So all you gotta do is give Randy a shout on the website, and they'll get them to you. Like you said, 3 days, you get a free multi-mitt. Maybe you can get one for bow, maybe one coming up for your crossbow, your rifle, but you also got one for a shotgun, right?
Yes, and that would be this one here that's in black. So I got to move out of the way. And the same thing, it comes with 3 shotgun shell holders. Let's see, right here, it's got an internal hanging hand warmer pocket. On the top, it's got high temperature spandex. And if you shoot a pump, you can put it under the barrel, or you can put it over the barrel, and you can still pump your shotgun. If you shoot a semi-auto, then you can just slide it over the barrel. If you need this to expand, because shotguns are all different on the forearm, if you need a little bit more because it seems tight at this end of the mitt, and at this end where the spandex is, we used elastic stitching across that Velcro. And what you do is just take an X-Acto knife. You can release that stitching, and then the spandex will open up even more to accept a bigger forearm. So, and that's in the instructions and in the videos. So, once you get your mitt, if you're not sure how to put it on, it's on the hang tag, but you can also go to c3mitts.com. It's my mug, and I'm telling you how to safely put it on and how to use the mitt and what the benefits are. So.
Exactly. For anybody that has any issues with how-tos or anything, go to the website, scroll down. He's got videos for him to show you how he puts them on, and it makes it a lot easier. You can stop. You can see the bearded bad boy himself telling you how to put it on, and go from there. And,
where did I get that label? I'm actually a very nice guy. Most people, look at this. See how?
He's a friendly guy, Danny.
Well, yeah. This is his day job. We know his side job is Santa Claus come December. But,
okay.
Yeah, right. This is hard to hide in the elk woods.
Right?
That's why I keep mine trimmed.
I know, and I've debated, should I temporarily color it, and I'm like, hey, I just can't do it. I'm wearing it with pride. It
there you
took
go.
Me a lot of years to get this.
That's right.
Yeah, I turned 60 this year, so.
Well, you did, or you're turning?
I'm turning in December. I turned 60.
There you go. Does a product like this come with a warranty?
Yes, 30-day. No holds barred warranty. For whatever reason, if you don't like it, send it back. We'll give you your refund.
There you go, folks. That's your, gives you 30 days to try it out. Test it. If you don't like it, ship it back to him. And Randy will take care of you.
Yep.
Denny Steiner says there's a few less eastern Cape buffalo in Africa now.
That's good.
Right? So, congrats to him.
I seen he was laying the smack down over there on him, on some animals. So,
ever thought of coming up with a bearded mitt?
Oh, hey, hang on a minute.
He's got the multi-mitt.
This is the owner of the company.
If I take it like this,
it's the multi-mitt.
Now let me turn it this way.
There you go. See?
There you go.
If you had that sling on there, you could make it like a chin strap around. And
okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay.
We'll leave that up to Mark Coleman to try
Mark,
to come up with.
Yeah. Mark, you come up with the idea, send it to Randy. He'll get with you. But you know what? These products are all great, folks. I tell you, you got to go check them out. Order one. If you know somebody that has one, try it out. Let them borrow it. But, get over to c3mitts.com. At least try it out for 30 days because we did in the original beginning. We've been working together ever since. We use them on our bows, our rifles, our crossbows, and they're a great product. Can't beat the deal he's running now.
Absolutely.
And so, Randy, hats off to you for getting this product out, letting everybody know, keeping their hands warm so they can stay out on stand longer. And, I can't say anything more about it.
Well, I'll tell you.
Well, thanks. Those are great words. I really appreciate that. So. Well,
it is truly, like we've said before, both of us, testimonial-wise, can't say enough good about it. So get over there, get to the website, get your free multi-mitt, and put them in the field this year. It'll make a believer out of you. We're not quite to the next break yet, but what I want to do is save that time because we got some good elk stuff to talk about tonight. Randy, he was dropping all kinds of info on me before the show tonight, and I want to make sure we get through this.
Absolutely, that's kind of like
cool stuff.
We're going to split up the show into thirds. The first third was going to be for Randy, the mitts, showing him off, and then we're going to talk about this elk stuff that he's going through. A little bit about the wildfires that he's had to endure, and then we'll circle back at the end and remind you where to go to find that great deal on C3 mitts.
Okay, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
All right.
That's not a rookie move either.
Yeah, right. All right, folks. Once again, we had a good talk here in the break, and if you're listening on the podcast, you missed it. You need to tune into the live show Wednesday nights at 7:30. So, third segment. So, before we went to break, we alluded to some good stuff talking about elk. And Randy, I know your season's kicked off out there in Idaho. Today, I was reminded of Idaho and the wildfires out there because we've got smoke in the air here in Michigan that's actually coming from wildfires out west. There's a haze. So I can't imagine what your hunting season kind of started out like having wildfires.
Well, 2 years ago, the place where I elk hunt, that exact spot caught on fire, and it burnt the whole top of the mountain. So
wow.
We had to move to a totally new area, and fortunately, we still got into elk. A friend of mine got a really nice bull, so it was just a success. This year, there's fires over in Oregon to the west. There's fires up in northern Idaho. There's fires in eastern Idaho. There's fires to the south. So it doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. It's smoky, and some days are better than others. I've gone out in the morning, and it's beautiful blue sky, and all of a sudden the wind will switch, and an hour later, your tears are rolling, and your throat's scratchy, and
you can actually smell it.
It's just... Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's thick.
We're showing the picture that you shared on Facebook of that. You took a picture of the horizon, and you can see definitely the whiteness, kind of the smoke is, if you will, against which would be green trees typically in the picture, but they're kind of, they're smoked out kind of thing. But, like you were saying, do you see, when now that you've encountered this, have you seen a change in the wildlife? Do they get a little bit different?
I can't say. Second day, I ate an apple. That old wise tale, eat an apple, cleanse your palate because of the odor coming out of your mouth. Well, I had ate an apple. And I chucked the core as far away from my stand as possible. But within an hour, this black bear, young black bear, is sneaking in from behind me and zeroed right in on that apple core.
Wow.
And it came in and it stopped. And it looked around like, am I going to get my butt spanked? And he grabbed that apple core and
took off.
So I can't, deer movement, they're still moving around. I don't know if the smoke puts them a little more on edge because it's so pungent at certain times of the day that you wonder if it's, I mean, the fact that we can smell it and it's disturbing to us. I mean, their noses are tremendously better than ours. So I'm sure it's got to bother them. But, you know, I mean, elk movement, I put up a couple cameras here and there on trails just so I can watch the elk movement, and they're still moving around and they're still doing what elk do. I think it's only when the fire comes over the hill that they realize they got a problem and they got to move. So
the smoke, unless it's extremely heavy, I guess it's not so bothersome to them. I mean, they've probably seen it before, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it seems like the last 5 years, 6 years, I mean, we just have a smoky September and October till the rains get heavy enough or the snow gets deep enough in the mountain, and then you'll extinguish the fires. But, you know, our firefighters are out here working their butt off trying to get those things under control. But you're dealing in country that's, you know, I mean, it's a tough haul for them to fight a fire. So
Right. And we got a picture of that black bear up looking at you right now, and he looks like he's like, you shouldn't be there. I'm going to grab this apple and I'm going to leave.
Yeah, isn't that a little tiny? That's just the littlest bear. But he was very cautious, and he walked right parallel with that apple, and he knew where he was going. So he must have smelt that thing quite a ways away. So
even with the smoke in the area, he pinpointed it.
Oh yeah. I can't, you know, I for me personally, I don't think it changes what the animals are doing, but I think they might be a little bit more cautious just because they're trying to smell for danger, and all they can smell is smoke.
Yeah, it's
which
masking.
I mean, maybe that's a win for us. I mean, I don't know. But,
right.
Do you feel like you've seen more animal activity now that you mentioned that it might be something in your favor?
No, I would say it's about the same. Early season is tough. I mean, early season, now that I'm turning 60, I mean, back in the day, first week out, we'd do setups. I mean, you know, go 300, 400, 500 yards, do another calling sequence for 45 minutes, gather stuff up, move, call, move, call, move, call. Well, you know, my knees with the other company that I've owned for 30 years, I've pretty much beat myself up pretty bad. So they just don't work well like they used to. And anyway, so what I do now is the first week to 10 days, I've got a couple ridges where they're game trail, and those elk will travel predominantly in the morning, and they'll move back and forth, and then they veer off, go down into a draw, and bed for the day. So I've got tree stands up along that game trail, and I mean, I've had cows and younger bulls, and the only problem I can say with trail cameras, because it's only been recently that I've started dabbling in that, is those trail cameras allow you to see the big ones. So then what do? You hold out for the big one and you go home with paper.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, a spike walked in, a cow walked in, a raghorn walked in. Here's my opportunity, make the most of it, take home some meat.
Yeah.
And this might be the last year. I mean, I know there's elk on that ridge in the morning till they bed down. So I just may put those away, and because I was very successful for years, elk. But then it's like all of a sudden with the trail camera deal, you know, I'm seeing these big 6x6s, and it's like, oh, if I'll let those go. Well,
yeah,
you know, that may be the only one that you get in front of. But now in the afternoons and evenings, we go out and I do some bugling, and we do some setups, and we do some scouting. But then after the 10th, we switch it up, and because they're more vocal, you can pinpoint them, you can work them, you can play with them, and hopefully get a chance to chase them around and get an arrow in them. But the early season, it's so dang hot. I mean, it was 87, 90 degrees in the middle of the day. And
you're hunting them just like we do archery season here. You're doing a tree stand setup. Most of the videos we see, people are on the ground, spot and stalk, get in close, and try to arrow one.
Well, now, when I go back up tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I mean, I'll get out there and I'll play the game. I mean, it was about a week ago. Every night since opening day, I go out after dark and I rip off a bugle, and I'll do it 3 or 4 times just to get one to volunteer, hopefully. Well, it was after dark. I bugled 3 times just to locate bugle, and I got a... I'm like, ooh. So I talked back to him, and he piped up a little bit more, but that was it. So the next night, my hunting partner and his son took off down the hill about 400 yards behind camp, and then veered in side hill thinking, okay, somewhere in here. And then I was going to bugle and get him to pipe off, and they'd move in and hopefully get a shot. Well, what happened was I got the bull so mad that on the 3rd time he bugled, he was literally 100 yards behind camp.
Wow.
and I mean, he came probably 250 yards from the first time I heard him bugle. So I knew they were down the hill. Yeah, he was. And it was a little early, but man, I don't know if he thought I'm in his territory, something, but he was mad instantly. I mean, he bugled, lip balled, then fast chuckle, which he was mad. So I grabbed my bow and I took off behind camp about 70 yards and then cut about 30 yards to a meadow. And he was screaming, I was screaming, I was raking a tree. He comes walking out of the woods, turned perfectly broadside into a big bush, started destroying that thing. Then he'd step back and I ranged him, and he was about 60 to 65 away. And I just didn't feel comfortable. I know a lot of people, I'll fling one at 80. Well, I've chased him around the mountain and I've lost him. And if he would have been 40, I would have launched it. But I figured the guys that were with me were coming up from the bottom. And as the bull walked back into the woods that he came from, I was screaming at him. He was screaming at me. And we played that game for about 40 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it was awesome. I came back to camp just spent. And the guy, his dad was in camp, and he was like, that was incredible. And I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Well, then the guys came back up from the bottom, and they were like, dude, your calling was incredible tonight. And I'm like, half of that calling was me, and half of it was a real bull. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So anyway.
And that's definitely a sound you hear through the woods that is unmistakable.
Right. And I mean, as a hunter, you think, you study bugling and you really work at it and you try to hone your craft. But when a real bull fires off, there is no way a hunter can truly mimic that sound. He might get close, but that is a earth-shattering, soul-wrenching sound that just, you go, oh my, that's the real deal. Let's go.
That is so cool. That you just don't get that anywhere else. I mean, people that don't hunt, they don't understand. But it's not always about putting an arrow or a bullet in one. I mean, just those experiences like that are that's what you live for.
Right. I mean, to play with one for that long and to be speaking to him and get him that riled up. Now, if that would have happened maybe next week, he might have charged right over to where I was at, looked around, and then turned to leave, and that's when I would have stuck him. But he was mad, but he just wasn't willing to come that extra 20, 30 yards.
Didn't want to dance with you.
No.
And
we sang, but we didn't dance.
There you go. And you've been hunting for quite a few years, and we were talking before the show that you actually learned some new stuff this year, courtesy of Rocky Jacobson and Troy Neiman.
I tell you,
yes,
let's
incredible stuff.
Let's go to a break, and then we got the rest of the show to talk about this. Because when you told me this, I was just like, "What?" It's some cool information, man. It was like afterwards, it's like mic drop. So
yeah,
all right,
it's crazy.
We're gonna step outside real quick, take our last break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about elk breeding and some stuff that Randy has just learned that I've never heard before. So we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, now to the good stuff.
Last segment of the show, we're saving the good stuff for last, even though the first segment was great information about C3 mitts. Again, folks, get over to c3mitts.com. Check out the great offer they have and check out the other mitts that they also have as well. But Randy, before we went into the break, we were talking about you've been hunting elk for quite a few years, but you're always willing. We're always willing to learn something.
Absolutely.
And you learned some information courtesy of Rocky Jacobson and Troy Neiman.
Yes. I've had the pleasure of knowing Rocky Jacobson with Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, the founder of Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, for years. He lives up in northern Idaho. I've had the fortune of hunting whitetails with him. I've never had the great fortune of being out in the elk woods with him, but he's a world champion caller. And he did a seminar earlier this summer with a biologist from Oregon. And just the information that I gleaned from that, I suggest anybody that's thinking of going elk hunting, watch this, because it's what I learned is elk will breed in August. I mean, I never knew that. And I'm not saying I know everything about elk, but I just figured third week of September, let's do this,
Right.
And the old mature bulls will breed the older cows, the old mature cows, in August. The reason why the cows, the cows are in great shape, and they'll drop their calves early in the year, probably when there's snow on the ground, which ensures successful regeneration of the species.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you impregnate a cow elk, a young one, in October, November, that elk success rate of that calf is not going to be good. One, because it's a young cow. Two, that's later in the year. She's probably not as good a health.
Mm-hmm.
And then three, the bears are out in the spring and it's feast time for them. So that's one thing I learned. So if they don't breed in August, then of course in September, and it's the full moon and 13 days after. And this isn't my knowledge. This is from Rocky Jacobson and that biologist. But I feel like sharing it to everybody that ever wants to elk hunt. But it's from the full moon, 13 days, that's when the breeding happens. And a cow will only be in heat from I think it's 12 to 18 hours is when she'll be in her cycle.
That is a short window.
Right. So you might hear a cow call, ew, 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 and chirps, ew, ew. But then you'll hear like an estrus whine where they get more nasally. It's ee, ee. Okay, and then you got and she'll get more and more rapid and aggressive with that because she knows her clock is ticking. So when that breeding cycle is happening for the 10 days or the 13 days after the full moon, if you're out there as a hunter, that's when you need to be getting on those, because that's what he wants to hear. It doesn't do any good to just walk around and cow call. It may work, but your success, I believe, would go up if you call for what he wants to hear at that time. That's
Timing's
just
gotta be right.
Right. I mean, everything in that 50 minutes, it's well worth, because the food source that they eat and what they're doing and why they're talking the way they're talking. I got kind of lackadaisical, I guess. I'd go out and I'd just rip off a big nasty bugle, and then I'd chuckle. Well, what I'm actually saying is, I'm pissed off, and my fast chuckle says, I'm going to come kick your butt.
Okay.
And that's not the right thing to say, but it sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I went with, whereas like Rocky explains, these are the basic calls. There's a locate where you just do a one note, and then there's a two note, and then a three note. And you're just saying, hey, I'm over here.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you guys at? And then they'll probably pipe back. And then there's the display bugle, where I'm a big mature bull, come on over here, and that's a bugle with a lip ball with a slow, deep chuckle, and he's trying to impress, hey, I'm a really good bull, come over here.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the challenge bugle, which is the same thing with a lip ball, but then the chuckle is really fast, and that's saying, stay out of here, these are my girls, don't come over here. And then you've got the ultimate high scream, super fast chuckle, and that means I'm coming to kick your butt.
Gotcha.
And so what I've learned from that is you never want to go past what the bull's temperature is. You stay below it. And that is a lot of stuff from Rocky Jacobson. He has a CD out, and I'm not trying to sell his stuff, but if you want to learn how to cow call, if you want to learn how to bugle, if you want to learn what those sounds mean, he's a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he's been doing it his whole life, and anyway, so.
Well, no, that's great information to give out to people, because obviously you're an experienced elk hunter already. And when you're learning more about it, hey, spread the wealth. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to keep it all to myself. That's not how we all work usually.
No.
So, get out there, go check out the YouTube video. Like you said, it's about 55 minutes. And if it gets you interested, go buy a call and start practicing, messing around. Because I know some guys headed out west to do that. You're already out there, so you just put it into your arsenal of when, where, and how. So
right, and I've got a good friend to show you. I mean, there's being dedicated, and then there's being really dedicated. And I've got a good friend that's coming out next week. He lives in North Carolina. And I know there's some elk in North Carolina, but unless you get drawn, you're not going to be successful. Well, he is so dedicated. I mean, he can cow call and bugle. I mean, I'm like floored. So I wish I was hunting, but I'm actually going to be doing the calling and helping to pack the meat for these guys when they come out. But I wish I had a bow in my hand, because he has really dedicated himself. And it's a little bit to learn with a mouth read. But it's, once you get the hang of it, it is like hunting turkeys on steroids. So,
well, going back to what you were saying though about the breeding season of the more mature cows coming into estrus in August before the younger ones do, it just amazes me how nature can do things to create one to come into estrus before the other. Because usually, we think of the timing of the rut here in Michigan, with the does coming into estrus. There's that magical time, that 2 or 3, 4 day window when they start, and the days, or you get that short window of opportunity where they swing through it. Not all at the same exact time, but within that period of time. But you're saying that you've got matured cows that actually start first before the younger ones do.
Right, to ensure the procreation of the species
because of the weather and the timing of the conditions when they drop.
Right, and those older cows, if they didn't, and it depends on the bull to cow ratio. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if it's skewed and really, he's going to be running around with his head cut off. If there's only so many bulls and a ton of cows, he's just not going to be able physically to get to them all.
Right.
Poor guy.
So, yeah.
But anyway.
So I got to imagine, I've studied a little bit on the deer side of this and how that all plays into the fawn drop later on when late spring, early summer rolls around. In that situation you just explained, I got to imagine if the cow to bull ratio is out of whack, like you're saying, then you run into a second estrus or third estrus, and it starts pushing those calf drops later into the spring where there's more predation, right? Right, exactly. I mean, that in that video clip, they talk about, the herd will be gathered up in November, especially if there's early snow. They'll all herd up. And it'll take just one young cow, and if she comes into her cycle, that bull will smell it, and he'll start piping off, and the whole game happens. It's brief because she'll get serviced, but it's just like it was way back in September, and because I've talked to rifle hunters in October, and they're like, "Oh, the bulls are screaming," towards the end of October, and I'm like, what? Well, it's the second estrus. Okay.
There's plenty of cows out there, and those bulls have to try to get to all of them, because that cow is only hot for, a limited time, and then she goes out, and then it's 20 to 22 days later before she comes back in. So
it just amazes me how that all works together. And then, like you were saying, the bulls, if there's too many cows, they've got to they're servicing them. And it's one cycle after the next. Do you see, like here in Michigan, I know when we've got, a really skewed buck to doe ratio, and the bucks, they get into the rut, and that's all they're thinking about. They've already really taken on as much as food sources as they can. They're kind of laying low till that rut kicks in, saving that energy. Then all of a sudden it's just go, 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 go. You get into a second rut, a heavy second rut, and even a third rut, which puts us into January. Those bucks are depleted. I got to imagine same thing there with the bulls. They're depleted, and then they wind up getting pneumonia or sick, getting other things that can take them out.
Yeah, they go put on the feed bag, and they want to be alone. They just want to leave me alone. And because they've got to try to gain what energy they can before deep winter sets in. But a lot of our elk, like even up where I'm hunting, they'll migrate out of there and they end up, way down in lower country just to survive the winter. And then they'll migrate back up in the spring, and the whole thing starts over again.
Right.
So
interesting. Now, I don't remember if you said this. I don't think you said this yet during the show. But before the show, we were talking about you were explaining of how they actually found out about this August early estrus.
Right. In that video, the gentleman, the biologist from Oregon, studied a huge herd of elk for years and years, and he. And there were also some other studies done, which he mentioned in his study that quantified what he had found. And those elk will come in August. I mean, that's what the question was?
Well, you had mentioned something about hieroglyphs that they had found as well, so, to back this up as well.
Right.
And that's what I found. It was just mesmerizing.
Yeah, three different continents on the world, there's these hieroglyphs of these big, they look like a stag or they look like an elk with that type of antler structure. And one of them it looked like a map with a moon in it, and then it had 13 markings, which is the 13 days they've deciphered after the full moon. Wow. Because what happens is, as the moon gets brighter, the animals gather, and the pheromones start, and they start getting excited, and the bulls are getting into the, with their nose into the rear end of those cows, and it kicks in their cycle, and then 13 days, and then it wanes out. And then those that didn't get bred, it comes back in again. So like the next full moon, the full moon in September was the 10th.
Okay.
So right now, the breeding should be going on. Like at night, once it gets dark, you should be able to go out. You'll hear volunteers. You'll hear them bugling. They're going to be out running around chasing. And then it'll wane by the 23rd. But like for myself, when those guys come in from back east, when we get up to where we're going to be, I mean, I am going to get on that hyperlip and I am going to whine like I'm one of the last cows out there and I need servicing right now. And because that's what they want to hear. They're doing the same thing. They're looking for those last cows. I don't think I want to threaten them with a bugle. They want to hear a cow. Now, once that kind of wanes, then I'll play the game of bugling, locate, get in there, display to him that I'm a predominant bull, and then I might do some cow calls that, hey, I've got some cows over here. And then if he ramps it up to the next level and says, hey, don't come over here, then I'll sneak in silent, and then I'll give him another display really close, which should irritate him, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to steal his cows. I'm trying to tell his cows, come with me, I'm better than he is, which should piss him off. And so that's the game you play. But thinking that all out on the fly and figuring out what he wants to hear, when he wants to hear it, and then and when it all comes together, it's just it's the coolest thing to experience. So
now the timing of it, the 13 days and the full moon, this was the first time you have heard this, was during this summer?
Oh yeah.
So
I just figured third week of September. Let's go.
So you're looking at your calendar now, and you're planning your hunts accordingly.
Right, and even I would say my friend who I elk hunt with out here, we were both at different stands on this ridge. One is at the end where it drops down. The other one we call the intersection, and that's where I was at. Second day, so it would have been the 31st. Yeah, it would have been the 31st. A cow went by 25 yards, a calf went by, another cow, then a spike. Then he saw the 5x5, and it was almost like he was mesmerized. I mean, he was just lockstep right behind him, and he, and that bull didn't even flick an ear. I mean, he was so, and I wondered if, now that I know this information, was he tagging behind those because he was at the tail end of the first full moon in August?
Yeah, well, chasing
because that 13 days.
Cow.
Yeah. I think the full moon in August was like the 15th.
Okay.
So that would have been the 28th.
Right.
But he was so focused and so in la la land that, I mean, if normally under most circumstances, if I would have gone, at a cow or a bull 20 some yards away, they'd come out of their skin. But he never stopped for the shot. He just kept walking.
Never broke stride.
So never broke stride. I mean, he was in La La Land. And so lesson learned there, you always learn something, is next time maybe stomp on a little bit. Ooh, to get him out of his daze, that's all we can kind of figure is he just was. He was thinking of something else.
It's like a whitetail on a hot doe, right?
You're not going to stop them.
Unless you throw a 2x4 at them and knock them upside the head. They're nose to the ground and they're on a go. And it's like, yeah, okay. So
one thing on their mind, they're chasing the homecoming queen and they're trying to get there.
Right? So,
There you go.
But, all that, and again, seasoned hunter, learning anything and taking on more information and sharing it with you guys out there with us, and it's just been awesome.
No, it's cool. That's good stuff. And
just having an open mind.
Yeah.
Just having an open mind. Whether it's a new product, whether it's something new that you learn out in the field, it's being willing to, hey, I'll give that a shot if that gives me an edge. I mean, if that gives me an advantage, and so I just I know there's some people that are just set in their ways, but I mean that information blew me away. So again, I suggest anybody get on YouTube and go watch that. It's like 50 minutes, I think, 55 minutes.
Go check out Rocky Jacobson, and Understanding Elk Language. So get out there, check it out. Just like we need you to go check out c3mitts.com.
It's the thing that really kind of blows my mind is you're looking at cave drawings and they cipher what they mean, but even back then they were planning their hunts according to what they were seeing, according to what they were seeing in the sky, the moon phase and all that. It's just, to me, that's pretty doggone cool. That even back then they were studying those animals. Well, they had to. That was survival.
Yeah. And they put their hunt around that because maybe to them going out, outside of that just wasn't going to be productive.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed, when from about the third or fourth to the last, 4 or 5 days, those elk came in and they bed down. So the pictures slowed way up. So they're just not moving around. They're not milling around. They're not pushing each other, because the cows get irritated just like white-tailed does do.
Sure.
It's like, God, just leave me alone.
Yep.
Leave me alone.
It's not time yet. I got a headache.
Yep. But now when I go back up there, like even my cameras, the pictures have picked up, the action's picked up. So all those little pieces, all those little dots start connecting, and it helps you when you get out there in the woods. So
yeah, it's another piece of the puzzle, to paint that picture.
Exactly.
And there was things that I was skeptical of, and when I heard about it in the whitetails, and I went to a couple of events with Dr. James Kroll. And first time I'm like, the first year I went. And the second year I'm like, okay, this second year in a row, same things happened. After the third year, you're like, yeah, this is the real deal. You start looking at the science behind it and the way the research is being done and what's coming out of it. And, this stuff, it's pretty cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything you can do, because from somebody back east to come out west to elk hunt, it's a big expense.
Yeah,
I mean, even if you have somebody that lives out there that can put you up and has a machine. I mean, if not, you're flying out, renting a vehicle. You got to bring all your gear, and then the cost of the tags. I mean,
and if you're flying blind,
I would want to do it.
I couldn't imagine doing a DIY.
Well, I've met guys when I was up there a couple of years ago. I met some guys from, I forget where they were from. I mean, it was like Maryland, and it was 3 guys that had never been to Idaho, and they were getting into elk. I mean, they couldn't, they were having trouble being successful because they didn't know when to push it. They didn't know when to back up. They didn't know how to properly set up to give themselves a shot opportunity. They all stayed together, but it was awesome talking to them. And I congratulated them. I said, you know what, for you guys to study and watch some videos and to have the guts to come out here, and they had a tent, and I think they rented a pickup truck, and they did it. And my hat's off to them, man. I mean, that's awesome to have that experience. And I think they all went home empty-handed, but they had the time of their life. Bulls bugling at them, cows mewing, but they just couldn't. They didn't know how to close the deal and do the setup. So I shared with them just basic stuff, and then I never heard from them again. So they only had a few days left. So
well, anyway, I've always heard that when you go the first time, you're going to go 2-3 times before you really get into it and understand it enough to where you can actually take one. It's an investment, like you said. It takes time. So
yep.
Well, we're running just about out of time here. Some great stuff tonight. I appreciate you coming on and taking time with us.
One last question about the C3 mitts. Are they machine washable?
Yes, and my suggestion is you can put them in the dryer, but just put them on air dry or tumble dry, no heat, or let them air dry, and they'll air dry pretty quick. What the manufacturers of all the really super nice hunting clothes don't want to tell anybody is you run them in heat, you're destroying that thinsulate. So by letting them air dry, the thinsulate stays together, keeps the insulation value up. So just air dry it, or
Did not know that.
Air dry it or hang it and let it dry on its own.
There you go.
So
Yep.
All right. Any other thing in here in the chat? Anything going on that we need to cover real quick?
No, I think Mr. Coleman says that. Where is it here? I know you're already laughing. He's going to come out.
It better be nice.
He's going to come out with the bearded bad boy bugle.
Mark Coleman, I don't know about you, bud.
Yeah.
Well, Randy, hang on. After the show, we'll chat briefly. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up. For everybody that's over on the podcast, make sure you go over to C3 Better the Hunt Mitts and check out their webpage, check out their social media, give them a like, follow, share. Do the same for us as well. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you go over on iTunes, go over and give us a review over there. That helps us and helps people who support us like C3 and Randy. So, and for everybody who's on the live stream tonight, do the same for us. Share the show, give us a like, follow, share, and do the same for Randy as well.
And if you're catching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That helps us as well. This show you're seeing live tonight will come out on YouTube in a couple of days, so you can catch it over there as well. Remember, c3mitts.com. They've got a great deal going on. We don't know how long it's going to last. You buy any mitt, and you're going to get the multi-mitt free, a $40 savings. So get over there, check it out. And we will see Mr. Kip Adams next week.
Next week, Kip Adams. Going to be talking a little about deer hunting. Something I did not mention real quick before we do wrap up the show. We talked about it here last week before last, when we were talking to Chad Stewart.
2 weeks ago.
And I clicked on the report, our deer harvest report. We've had the Liberty Hunt and the Youth Hunt in Michigan last weekend. 6,125 deer, and that was actually at 7:28 p.m. And if I refresh, we are now at 6,141. So another 16 people have registered their deer in the last hour and a half. That's pretty cool. That's what we wanted.
That is.
And it breaks it down by county. So go over there and check it out if you haven't yet. Go to the Michigan DNR's webpage, follow their links through, and you can see our harvest report up to date to the minute. So, Randy, next time we have you on, I want to talk about maybe this specifically because you guys have been doing this for quite a while, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If we get into that, that's a whole other show. So, and I know you want to go elk hunting tomorrow, so we're going to wrap this show up. So next week, make sure you tune in Wednesday night, 7:30. We'll have Kip Adams on.
Adams on. We're going to be talking Michigan hunting. Some questions coming out of wonderful Facebook we've got lined up to ask Kip because he's in Pennsylvania. So he's got a similar but different view.
That's right.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll see you next week.
All right. That'll do it for us this week. We'll see y'all next week.
This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Packer Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.